Hey, Teresa, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful that we get to interview you. I would love if you could introduce yourself.
Great. Well, I'm glad to be here, Courtney. Thanks so much for inviting me. This is an exciting time, and I'm glad you're interested in the book. Well, I'm Teresa Mosley Sebastian. I am getting ready to launch to everyone, actually, in September 25th, my first debut novel called Lost Seeds, The Beginning.
Love that. I would love if you could tell us more about what your book is about.
Certainly. Well, first, let me just give you a little bit about me, and then we'll talk about the book. How does that work? Okay, so I am not just an author, I'm actually an entrepreneur and a corporate executive, a former corporate executive at a Fortune 500 company. And also, I teach at a couple of law schools. So I'm one of those lawyers that decided, that, besides practicing law, I can write a book. So that's exactly what I decided to do. And the book, Lost Seeds, The Beginning, is about two brothers that have a conflict. They have a problem getting along. And it all kind of comes out of the traumas and the background of their parents. And so, really, this book is how the remnants of the parents' trauma can transcend into their children's lives and impact the relationship between their children, and not just the relationships between children, but the directions that their children take. And in this case of the two brothers, Tim and Dublin, they take two different paths in life, despite the fact that they both come from the traumatic seeds of their parents' beginning. One tends to go a path that leads him to his idea of success, and the other brother goes a path where it seems like the trauma of their upbringing tends to haunt his life, and he can't quite, move forward from that. And at some point down the road, when they become adults, their lives kind of encounter. And, that's where some of the, drama continues between the two brothers.
I love that. What inspired you to write your book?
It's quite interesting. I had fits and starts. I had people that told me I should write a book. There's a book inside my head. And, from the time that I was little, I was always fascinated by fiction and by stories. And my mother took us to the library. I had an aunt that taught us a lot about plays, the musicals. And so I was just always fascinated by that. And when my children were born and they were little, I would make up stories and I would tell them stories at bedtime. So finally, after retiring and kind of getting rid of all that corporate, 24/7 type of executive work, and I had time to think about things, I was sitting out on my back porch and this story just rained into my head. And I wrote a quick outline, called my son, who is in the entertainment business as a part of what he does. I read the outline and he said, "Mom, I think you have a great story there." And so I just started writing, and the story just kept flooding into my head. And that's how it happened. It's just one of those spiritual experiences, and you just feel compelled to put the pen to paper. Before that, I had tried writing several things because I've had so many experiences internationally, and kind of drama things that happened as I was doing my work as a lawyer internationally around the world. And people said, you should write stories based on that. And so I would try to do that, but it did not feel natural. It just there wasn't a synergy between my level of interest and what was coming out on paper. So I do honestly believe that to get a good story, it has to be very organic. You have to feel your characters. You have to feel your story. It's almost like a relationship. You can't force it. And so the story just came very organically. So in my files, I have about 5 or 6 things that I started and stopped. And this one just came from heaven.
I love that. When you were writing your book, who were you thinking of when it comes to who your book is for?
My book is for anyone. Well, primarily, adult readers. It's not a young adult book. It's not a child's book, but it's for any adult that enjoys historical fiction, because that's what it is. It's a historical fiction, 2 male protagonists. Their lives start back in the early 1900s. So if you like things that are based in history, based in the past, based in where you can kind of lose yourself and engage your imagination to a day and time when, you did not exist, you can imagine how people lived then. That's who that book is for. And even if I have found as a reader that even if I don't feel any kind of synergy or affinity for a particular time period, I'll still try it to see if there's something that I can connect to and energizes my imagination.
I love that. How long have you been writing and what made you really sit down and start?
I have been writing since probably when I was a teenager. But again, I wrote poetry. I would try to write songs because I also play the piano. I've played since I was 4 years old. And, so I've always had that creative tendency. But what kind of took over in my adult years was the more business side of myself. As I said, I'm a lawyer. I also have a master's in business and finance. So I do all that mergers and acquisitions stuff and that capital markets, investment banker kind of stuff. But on the other side of my head was always that frustrated creative person. And so, I grew up in a day and time when parents said, go to school and, make a living off of something where you can take care of yourself. So that artsy side kept getting pushed, to the back because, many parents at that time felt, oh, that's not going to feed you. So now that I don't have to worry about that, I was able to release that side. And also, as a lawyer, we're taught to write. Writing is a big part of being a lawyer because you draft all those legal documents and you have to kind of learn how to tell a story about your client, right? Now, I wasn't a litigator, I was a transactional lawyer, but nevertheless, you're trained to craft and explain a story around whatever the dispute is you're representing and that client you're representing. So, when you ask how long have you been writing, I've been writing for many, many years. So I can write business stuff all day long. I can write legal stuff, and now I'm actually able to write fiction. So that's a lot of fun.
I love that so much. Such a wide array. What is your schedule like when you are writing a book?
Geez. There is no schedule. And I know that some, writers that do this every day for a living may say, I get up at 3 and I write till 9 and I have breakfast and they have I don't have a schedule. I write basically upon when I'm inspired, because the characters talk to me. The characters let me know when they have something they want to say, when they have a story, when they want to channel that story. I don't like to force a scene. So my schedule is their schedule. And it's fortunate that with Lost Seeds, the beginning as well as the legacy, they just kept wanting to tell me the story. And that's the schedule. The schedule is dictated by the characters.
I love that. That's super unique. What do you need in your writing space to help you stay focused?
Now, this is where I'm a little more disciplined. This is just my state of being. I like quiet, even when I am doing my other occupations. I'm preparing for a lecture, or I am, preparing for a board meeting and reading all the materials. When I am writing or reading, I like silence because I like to be in touch with, my own internal analysis and processing of whatever I'm doing. I know some people need music in the background. I can deal with that, but I don't think I'm doing my highest and best thinking and concentrating. And as I said, when I'm writing, I'm also hearing the characters' dialogue. I'm hearing what they're telling me. And so in order to clearly hear it, I like quiet. The most noise, if you call it noise, that I appreciate when I'm doing this type of work is sitting outside and I hear nature. Now, nature kind of gets combined. I take that in when I'm hearing the characters, and it kind of enhances what I'm hearing. And so it's kind of a spiritual experience, if you will. So that's what I need around me is quiet so that I can hear the characters and nature.
I love that. What is your favorite writing snack or drink?
Ah, that I don't have a favorite. If I wasn't so health conscious, what I would do is have M&M peanuts sitting around and just popping those things continuously. But I have to keep them far away because I really do believe there's an addictive, content in there. So I try not to keep it around too much. There's nothing standard. It's just whatever is somewhat healthy and I can justify the health benefits of it, and whatever is in my refrigerator or cabinets.
Love that. What type of books do you personally enjoy reading?
I like a variety of things. I read books about um, business management. I like Jane Austen, British novels. I like American fiction. I love Maya Angelou. I have many different things that I like to read, things for spiritual wellness. So I'm not stuck on one genre. What I do, I'll put it this way: what I don't read a lot, or I don't have a natural affinity for, is science fiction. But I don't have any real reason for that. I just, I just have never taken to it much. So there you go.
Love that. Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer?
Yes, yes. Maya Angelou was very, very persuasive and influenced me quite a bit with her writing. And Walter Mosley, who not a relative, even though that's my maiden name. I don't think there's any relationship there. I loved, his style of writing. Um, so those two really kind of influenced because I love their ability to tell a good story, very engaging story. And Maya Angelou, her poetry is unbelievable and is very moving.
Love that. What books did you grow up reading? Did you have an all-time favorite?
I do. And unfortunately, I make my spouse watch this with me occasionally. I think I've watched, well, I've read the book many times, Pride and Prejudice, and I've watched every derivation of that book that has come out in movie form. Uh, so yes, Pride and Prejudice. Don't ask me why. I just find that story entertaining. I find the sisters entertaining. I find their parents entertaining, and it's a real escapism. And I tell people I honestly believe that at some point in time, I lived during that period of time in Great Britain. So, um, that's why I just love that era.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
On the other side of that, now as an adult, what are your favorite series or authors that if they come out with something, you automatically grab it?
None of the above. I don't automatically grab anything. I everything justifies its own existence in my mind. Um, when you talked about series, I just it. This isn't a book, but we were just talking about Pride and Prejudice, and I loved the series of Bridgerton. Um, that's television, that's streaming. Um, but I it's all in a matter of what entertains you, what helps you escape, what are your needs at that time. So for example, if I am having a situation personally where I need some help thinking through how to manage it, I may pick up a business management book. I may pick up a book on that has to do with some kind of health and wellness. So it's a very opportunistic type of engagement with what I read and what is filling my spirit and what is filling me mentally and emotionally, or my need to escape.
I love how you say escape. Love that. What would you tell someone just starting out with reading again?
I would tell them, to find what moves you. It's kind of take reading kind of like you listen to music. What is connecting with you at that moment? What feeds something that is within you that will make you feel better, make you feel whole, make you feel comfortable, or help you get through whatever situation you're facing. Everything should have a purpose in your life, and that's reading as well. So, if someone is just taking that plunge into reading books and novels, find something that's going to connect. Because if you're forcing yourself to read something that someone else recommended, oh, my friend told me to read X book, and you start reading it and you're not getting anything out of it, you're going to miss the characters, you're going to miss what the author was trying to convey. And it's going to be a torturous journey for you because you are pushing yourself through it. We're not in school anymore, and nobody's going to grade you and ask you to write a paper on that book. So put it to the side because maybe that's not the book for you at this point in time. But find something that is going to feed you in that moment. And if you enjoy that, then you may find down the road, oh, maybe it's time now for me to read that book that was recommended.
So true. So amazing. On the other side of that, what would you tell someone just starting to write their own book?
I would say sit down, relax, meditate, breathe, and hear what is being delivered to you. Because, no one can tell you. Like I said, I have 5 books that I've started. That was because people told me what I should be writing about, but that's not what my spirit, wanted me to write. So if you're sitting down and writing for the first time, write something that you can feel, write something you're passionate about, write something that will even help you release something that's inside that you've always wanted to talk about, but didn't have the right audience to talk to them about it. So talk to the paper, talk to the computer, get it out. And, that will really stimulate you. And once it's done, you should feel satisfied and you'll want to do it again.
I love that. It's so true. You can have more than one project going at a time.
Yes, absolutely. It's like riding a roller coaster, you know?
Yes. What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
Ah, well, I have found that my business colleagues, are surprised that I've written a fiction novel because I am such a stiff shirt. When I'm sitting in boardrooms and when I am, doing deals or when I'm sitting lecturing in law school. And so people are surprised that I wrote a historical fiction about 2 male protagonists. So I'm so involved in, promoting women and women of color and, disadvantaged individuals that they, they wouldn't imagine that I would write something of this genre. But yeah, so that's what people are surprised about.
Love it. Is there anything you would like to say or add?
Well, all I would like to add is please, take a look and go to my website, teresamosleysebastian.com, and see if the story, entices you. See if it fits within what your area of interest is at the time. And you might be surprised that, it fits where you are. And if it not, give it a moment and come back in several months and say, hey, now I think I'm ready to read this book. And I hope you enjoy it.
Love that. Where's the best place for readers to find your book? I know some readers love signed copies. Is that an option and the best place to connect with you?
The best place to connect with me is if you go to the website. As I said, it's teresamosleysebastian.com. There will be links to the book. It's also available on Amazon. And also you can read a little bit about me and about the book on goodreads.com. We also have Instagram and Facebook. So if you go to the website, there are links to the Instagram and Facebook. I am new to social media, so I can't whip off those, the how to get there. But all I know is if you get to the website, you can get to the other places. So you can order the book and find us on social media. And I appreciate you, Courtney, for giving me this opportunity. You're wonderful.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We're so grateful we got to interview you. We'll be sure to drop those links in the show notes. That way everyone can find you. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Courtney. Applause to you.